My partner and me, we could somehow make it happen, but at some point, to some extent, okay, at some point we had to bring someone, take it to another level with the new networks, with a new pitch, with his idea, his vision. He has a little bit different vision, but again, this is something that was necessary for the company, and I really appreciate, and I can only imagine how hard it was for my partner to step down from the CEO position.
Welcome to our series entitled The I Am Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started. Hello and what's up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of I Am Podcast for Startups, where we chat with founders, innovators, and entrepreneurs, and they share their unique journey and the latest innovation. This is still Mariah, your host, and today I have the pleasure, finally, of speaking with a tech enthusiast whose technology he will share later. Welcome on the show, the CTO and co-founder of Clickins, Dmitry Geyzerskey. Hey, Dmitry,
Hey,
welcome.
Mariah, thank you for having me.
Finally, it's a pleasure to have you. I know we all have to learn a lot of things from you, from your wealth of experience. Okay, but first, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hectic days, a lot of projects,
Hectic.
onboarding new customers, and finally getting ready for a vacation.
I love that. Maybe that's the most exciting for today.
And full stuff, yeah.
Do you still have work later or for today, or it's just hacking all the
No, my
things?
schedule is busy till tomorrow, like till we depart.
Okay, really before you depart. Okay. I hope you get a perfect time, like what you said, to reset and re energize. Okay. How do you pitch, like for a minute or two, click ins?
It's a good question because, the pitch depends on the audience, depends on the goals you set. It depends on the season, time of day,
Oh,
the mood.
it's a
Yeah.
very hard time.
Yes. We always improvise. I mean, my partner Eugene and we always improvise. We always use the different types of pitches, so there's no one pitch for any occasion. In one sentence, I would define Clickins as the visual intelligence AI for automated vehicle inspections. This is what we are doing today.
Who experienced this problem? Is it you? And maybe you can speak about how big of a problem it was or it is.
When we started our journey back in 2014, we started uh, from the very annoying and notorious problem of insurance fraud, which is overwhelming. And my partner came with the idea because he has a background in insurance. So we partnered with him because I bring a background from intelligence. So we started fighting insurance fraud by using military grade intelligence techniques and using insurance domain expertise. So it was a synergy between both. And then at some point, we realized that in order to tackle this problem, we need a lot of funds. I mean, we need a lot of resources, and it is not that easy to attract investments or seed money for such a big idea. You need a lot of money at one time because you need to scale your team. You need to have a lot of professionals working for you, and it's not a simple task to do. Even if you know how to do this, you can architect the system. Still, you need to deliver it, deploy it, and scale across multiple industries locations. So this is a very big problem, but also very tough one to sell. So we actually, what we did, we focused with the time, we focused on part of our technological stack, which is visual intelligence, and applied it to first to vehicle or automotive insurance, starting tackling fraud in only in automotive insurance. And at some point, when we faced very long cycles, sales cycles in the insurance companies, it takes years to pre-sell, to sell, to implement, to integrate within insurance companies. As a professional software architect, I used to work for insurance companies. So I'm quite familiar with the process. So it takes more than a year to integrate with insurance company average. So at some point, we realized that our product or our technology is good to go for other verticals like automotive industry, car rentals, car sharing, dealerships, because we have a kind of unique technological stack that can be easily applied to these industries. And that at some point, we switched our business model. So we transformed our business model and became a SaaS platform for any automotive needs. Starting from point, we have been doing automated vehicle inspections using the same techniques, using, by the way, the unique intelligence approach. This is the only approach that exists on the market. I mean, we are the only company that uses this type of approach to solve this problem, which is very complicated. The domain is very complicated. From that point, most of our customers are automotive companies, dealerships, and we also have insurance companies on board, commercially deployed, but the majority of customers come from the automotive.
Okay, so just from catering the insurance industry to doing serving other verticals, like you said, automotive, and now there are more. You have more car rentals, car sharing companies, clients on board. You said, like on our previous call, you invested your own money here. You created a prototype that was useless. Okay. So before it got really global and really used by a lot of people, can you share like how's the prototype? How's the
No
MVP?
prototype is useless. I mean, I have never said it was useless. We did partner with, we were four founders, which founded Clickins. Eugene, myself, and two of our partners, which became early investors. So they are not active in the company. They don't have operational positions in the company. But Eugene and I, we are working 24/7. So we invested our own money and started building a platform for tackling insurance fraud, as I said. So we built a prototype. We were only two people, two people in the company. So Eugene handled all the business aspects of managing the company and attracting investors and spreading the word of Clickins. And I was busy with developing prototype for every part of the technology, which is very complicated. Okay. So, and I'm not bragging now, but this is a very deep tech. In order to create such a system, so it takes years. So we created a working prototype of each and every part of the system, which comprised a minimum viable product for us. But it was more like a technology preview. It was not a product. Okay. So I said that we have made all the available mistakes, all possible mistakes. Okay. So this was one of them. So we created a technological preview, not an MVP. And with this preview, we actually started going to conferences, and where we became very popular in all, all the conferences related to insurance. And we try to pitch them on the new approach of fighting insurance fraud using military grade intelligence techniques. But this is so hard to explain, and you cannot disrupt, such an industry like insurance because they dinosaurs. Okay.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, but you can automate, you can enable automation, you can bring them to the next level. And so since we come from this domain, we know exactly how to speak to insurance companies. We understand their pain points. We share their concerns. So we could speak the same language, but in order to deliver our solution and again, raise money, to scale this, we had to do some changes. We had to transform our business model and refine our product or our value proposition. But the tech was, the prototype was developed, and this prototype was like a mini intelligence system that included linked analysis, OCR for insurance documents. It included some OSINT, open source intelligence, crawler that crawls the internet and looks for some links and connections between parties involved in some insurance case.
Wow.
It included the photogrammetry model, which is now one of the components of our inspection system, which created, actually, this is the essence of our patent that we applied all over the world for damage signature, which is the inspiration comes from the criminology where you have fingerprints. Fingerprints uniquely identify humans. So we created a damage print that uniquely identifies damages. And this is something that is supposed to be unique and can be matched across multiple images and cameras to tackle the fraudulent cases. And today we use the same technology, by the way, to compare damages when you rent a car. So when you pick a car and you drop off the car, in order to compare the state of the vehicle between these two stages, and a rental company knows or wants to know if a new damage was added. They need you for new damage. So this is the technology that is used to match between drop off and pick up.
Yeah.
So this is not useless. I mean, all this technology that was developed.
My bad.
It is used. Okay, it was improved and it was perfected to an unprecedented level. So today we have a fully working stack with the unique and the best of breed algorithms from AI and the photogrammetry, SLAM, computer vision, whatnot. But at that point, it was a very concise technological preview that served its role. I mean, it's played its role in history.
Can you remember when you okay, we can already sell this solution? When was that? So you initially built the idea 2014, but when were you able to okay, investors, here's the product?
The journey took quite a lot of time. We had no previous experience in startups. I mean, Eugene came from insurance business. He was running insurance company. He was the owner of insurance company. So he also ran insurance agency. But my experience is pure technological experience. Also a lot of law enforcement and intelligence stuff. But as part of my consulting career, I used to consult startups and create and develop technology for them. Sometimes it was like groundbreaking technology. It was startups that today are valued billions. And so I had a wide range of clients, customers, and that's why I have a broad experience in different aspects of technology and the architecture. So in the first stage, we started integrating with one of the local insurance companies. So we also integrated our product inside their technology. They were also pioneers in a certain area. So they started selling insurance products using mobile and onboarding new clients using tech. And we were an enabler for them. So this process took too much time. So we realized that we wouldn't be able to scale. We wouldn't be able to scale with such a business. We need to change something. But as I said, previous experience was pure technological. I also had some negative experience with startups. So we established a startup company before Clickins with one of my partners, but it was a complete failure. So if one of us had previous successful experience in raising money, in building startups, in pitching investors, I think it would have taken less time. But at some point, we focused on the technology and we were busy with developing the technological stuff. So as I said, deep tech. So we were perfecting the technology all the time. We brought a group of angels, which we call them a $1 billion club. These guys all together sold their companies for more than $1 billion. All of them are technological guys that saw our technology and put their money because they trusted and they saw a potential. So this was like a tailwind to us. So they put money, and there was another angel investor that also joined the first round.
Lucky.
So we started building this thing. We focused on a certain vertical. But as a startup, the focus is something that you can never say that you are focused. You are focusing yourself all the time. So it is a time you try to refine your value proposition, to refine your product, and you need to focus all the time.
I just want to ask before we go to investors. I know you have a ton of experience. I know you have a ton of learnings. The startup that you once built, which failed, can you share a little bit, or what was the lesson there?
The main lesson there was, first of all, when you build a startup, when you start from the legal contract between founders, you need to explicitly define the roles of each and every person in the startup and vest all the equities based on the involvement of founders. So, for instance, if you establish a startup and let's say few friends decide to build a startup, first of all, building a startup with friends, it's a very bad idea. Okay.
Okay.
Because it is very hard. It is very hard and there is a lot of tension and there is a lot of intrigues and there is a lot of things that not always favor the friendship relations. So sometimes, when friends decide to establish a startup and they say, okay, let's, split the shares equally. Okay. Two friends, they decide 50-50. Okay. That's how it usually works because they are friends and no one wants to be unequal. And in this regard, with the time, for instance, you realize that a part of the team is working 24/7, but the rest is not. And then since you are friends, you cannot even afford raising this issue. And this becomes even more when you have more founders that are non-equal. And again, this is not a complaint. This is the reality. This is a real life. If some of the founders has business, active business, and his major focus is on different areas, and he's not active in the startup. He doesn't have any position, but he put the money at the maximum risk. So his money values again exactly as my money. But since he's not active, new investors will usually ask tough questions. Why this guy is like having the same shares as you? And you cannot explain that he's your friend and he put the same amount of money at the same time. it just doesn't work. They don't care about this. So when create a new startup, you need to explicitly define the role and how much each founder will be involved in this startup. And according to this, create a vesting scheme. So if he's not involved, it's absolutely okay, but his shares will stop there. You need to have a very good, and I think that the best thing thing for any startup is having a professional or seasonal entrepreneur on board, someone who had already done this before, because he knows exactly how to maneuver through all this, investors thing. Because investors, when you meet an investor, it's like a minefield. It's exactly as a minefield, because if you do a wrong move, you are blown. Okay. And you
That's it.
you can maneuver. At some point, you think that everything goes well, and then you just blow yourself because some question you don't have a proper answer, or you don't know if this answer is proper for this type of investor. So, and this is a very, very tough. This is one of the most frustrating things in the journey.
Yes. I mean, frustrating also because, a lot of people start the startup with their friends because they're friends from the army or family, things like that. But that's reality.
We are still friends, by the way.
yes.
We are still friends. But you asked me about the mistakes that I learned. It wasn't it was not a mistake to establish a company with friends. But I'm talking about my previous experience, my previous startup that failed.
Mhm.
But one of the takeaways from that experience is that I will never any business with guys from academy. Do you know why?
You mean the 8200?
No,
What?
no, from academy. I
What,
mean,
what?
professors, doctors, whatever, that have active positions in universities. You can have them as an advisory, for instance, for some things, because you want to have some, very well-known professor in your advisory boards here on your deck. This is good for investors. Okay, they love it because you have a academical background and you have academical support. So okay, so it shows like the quality of your research, of your product. The problem is that when you have an active founder that comes from academy, his primary focus is on academy, and they will publish whatever they develop or whatever they are involved in. They will publish every single word of it, making zero IP for the company, leaving zero IP for the company. So all of our know-how, all of our implementation and algorithms were published before we even had an even a small chance to apply for a patent. So this thing, actually, when you come to potential investor, one of the first questions is, what is your IP? And you don't have any IP if it is published in some academical work. Okay. So in this regard, they will always prefer their academical work over any business or any startup, because startup is side hustle for them. This is something that is for a wealth, not for research, not for the science. They will always prioritize science over the business. And when you do a business with them, this is something that you need to realize. They will always prioritize their academical work, their scientific work, over the business. And so you cannot do business with them. This was one of the reasons why the previous startup failed. And of course, we had a great technology, but we didn't have a market fit. We solved a very complex problem, but there was zero market fit and there were no customers for this technology. Okay, so these are the main reasons why the previous startup failed. very bad execution, zero experience in startups, academy in process, and that was the reasons.
But to set the story, you're still friends.
Partially. I mean,
Okay, but yeah, everything's good. I mean, okay, that's you're not enemies. This time is a very hard time. A lot of people are saying, a lot of founders, right? It's not like 2 years ago or even a year ago. So, do you have any like tip or for those who are trying to survive this time?
my focus is today is on technology and research. So luckily, I am not dealing with investments and raising money these days. I take part in technological due diligence, in the pre-sale process sometimes, but I'm not involved in all this process with investors, with new investors. So we a year and a half ago we have hired a professional CEO. I think that he's doing his job exactly what we expected. So he is doing, and he's attracting money. So he is in charge of raising funds today. Okay. So, by the way, he was able to raise the last round we ended the last round with oversubscription. During this, these hectic days, during the recession, he was able to attract money with even oversubscription. That means that there is a huge interest to click-ins. There is a
Yeah.
perfect market fit. We are commercially deployed. We don't have to prove anyone that our technology works. It just works. And it is being deployed all over the globe. And this time I have a privilege of doing the things that I like, doing the things that I'm good at, and not trying to pretend as if I was like, successful businessman and I can attract millions. This is not my strong point. Okay. I think that
Yeah.
that was the reason that it took us a lot of time to attract money, to attract funds, to raise funds for click-ins.
Yeah.
Still, we could do it. Still, my partner and me, we could somehow make it happen. But at some point, to some extent, okay, at some point, we had to bring someone that will take it to another level. It will pitch differently, okay, and speak differently and different language. And
Yes,
people,
yes.
sometimes you need to do this speech in order to reach the next level. So you are stuck at
Yes.
some concept. You are stuck. You're actually boiling in the same water all the time. So you need something
Right.
fresh. You need someone new with a new networks, with a new pitch, with his idea, his vision. He has a little bit different vision, that we are not thinking alike, all of us. But again, this is something that was necessary for the company, and I really appreciate, and I can only imagine how hard it was for my partner to step down from the CEO position. And he's the active chairman of the board, but he stepped down from the CEO position, and we hired a professional CEO that took the company to the next level. And we are really happy that I think that we are on the right today.
Yes, yes. Thank you for mentioning about that. I remember one founder, like a female founder on the show said, as a CEO, I don't know any other role but to raise money for the company. Like it's the CEO's role. And you mentioned, yeah, how was it? So originally your partner and you, right, raised a seed. You hired a new CEO and you said founders shouldn't have this or are willing to put their ego aside. Can you share that part? Like, how did you deal? How was it transition?
Absolutely. So when we are talking about the ego, it's an integral part of every individual. I'm not familiar with anyone that doesn't have ego. Okay. When they say that he doesn't have ego or she doesn't have ego, it means that she knows how to build relations and knows how to and when to be silent and when to weigh in. So there are smart people that know how to react to different situations, and there are people that are very impulsive and they can react differently. So sometimes it is misinterpreted as ego, but every one of us has ego. So I have a professional ego, and some of the investors, and there were a few, during a pitch said that, you know what, I don't see technology here. And literally, he has zero understanding of technology. And I had to remain calm and not to react. And I have a temper, but my partner is a professional sportsman. Okay. So he is very dominant. And this is he. Okay. So this is the guy. And he was the champion of Israel in Taekwondo. You cannot be a champion in professional sports, particularly in martial arts. You cannot be a champion if you don't have an ego, if you don't have aspirations, and you don't want to be the dominant. You will not be a champion. I was the first runner-up in Ukraine in chess when I was okay. Without
Wow.
ego, without aspirations, you cannot be there. So ego, it's an integral part of us. But when it comes to the business, all of us realize that in order to scale the business, in order to survive, even to survive, you need to make very hard and painful decisions. You need to make compromise. Okay.
Mm.
So without compromise, it is very difficult to succeed. Okay. To move forward. So the compromise was that one of us steps down from the active CEO position. I remain CTO because this is what I'm doing for living. So
Mm.
I'm dealing with
That's your expertise.
technology and architect. But my partner had a very hard time actually, and he put his ego aside and let the new professional CEO lead the company. Okay, but still, we are the founders of the company. We established this company, and we are the heartbeat of this company. So we are very involved in managing the company. We are part of the board of investors. We manage the board of investors. So, but sometimes you need to bring professionals to certain positions. Okay, and
Mm.
build processes and operations inside the company, which we maybe failed to build, or we built them not in the appropriate.
Think for the whole company. What's the good for, even if it costs, wow, your position. You're an expert, yes, solutions architect, right? For a long time into software development. Before we run out of time, how important, I mean, before you weren't a DevOps, but when you started implementing this approach, like DevOps, how did it change, and how important is DevOps to startups?
I think it is extremely important, but we need to be very, very cautious not to over architect it. We have developed a very sophisticated system for CI/CD, and this is very important for any startup. The ability to deliver fast and eliminate human mistakes, because any human mistake in the process will cost you reputation, unavailability of your service. And when you have few customers that you are trying to onboard as a startup, you must show them the availability, the business continuity, that they can rely on you, that it's not only some voodoo that you're doing in AI or in SLAM or in computer vision, but it is a sustainable business that is scalable, not only business wise, but also technologically scalable. What happens if you onboard now a customer with 1 million inspections a week? Will your system handle this payload? Will it be able? So how much effort you will need to put into scaling the system? So you absolutely must build and communicate to your investors and your customers that you have a scalable, reliable CI/CD system. So you can continuously integrate new changes. You can deploy new things very fast, and you can scale and you can be elastic. So from business point, they can add more, do more with your system. And that's why the DevOps team, we decided to partner with this company, which I wouldn't say that they are cheap. I would say that they're one of the most expensive companies on the market. But this is something that I would never compromise. I would never compromise the quality and the professionalism over some discount in the professional services rates. So yeah, I must admit that Google helped us. Google helped us financing in finance. They financed part of this project. So at some point, this was very, very helpful. And since then, we are continuing, we are developing this solution. I think it is very important having a DevOps team, professional devs. If you have a chance of hiring a DevOps person or DevOps team on board, I would do that. We didn't have resources for that. Didn't have attention for that. I mean, it requires some attention. So we decided to hire a professional company for that. But if you happen to have someone on board that has experience in DevOps, that's absolutely awesome.
Okay, wow, a lot to learn, but time is really fast. Time flew very fast, but to those who want to connect with you either for technology consult or about click-ins, yes, please invite them. Where can they connect with you?
Actually, we are hiring professionals. So today I'm not dealing with professional services. I fully committed to click-ins. Got a lot of requests, and a lot of my previous customers that I used to work with. Unfortunately, I cannot help them too much because I am very focused on what I am doing. Startup requires your attention 24/7. So you must be very, very focused and fully committed to startup. This is another lesson that all of us learned, that if you are not fully committed to what you are doing, you cannot build startup when you are partially involved, like working for someone and then building some, ideas on evenings and on weekends. It will never succeed. I mean, this is very rare when such a thing succeeds. So you must be fully committed. But for those who want to work with us, those who want to be our customers or want to work for Clickins, we are very open. We have few open positions.
Yeah. What's your website for those who will be listening to this one?
Absolutely. I hope this fantastic podcast will reach like millions over the globe. I wish it.
You
Yeah.
You are so kind. Thank you very much, Dmitry, and all the best to Click-ins.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. It was a real pleasure chatting with you.
This podcast is powered by imops.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with imops.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.imops.io and get a DevOps team now. Make sure to check out www.imops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.